I need a YouTube video that's like an iceberg dive.
We need a 2067 YouTube video that is the last Great War explained in all caps. Hello and welcome to the 213th episode of Good Bad or Bad Bad, the show where I watch terrible movies, tell you future too. I'm your host, Mr. Brian Chiligo, joined as always by the other host of this illustrious show, Mr. Kyle Hinton. Kyle.
I'm after Sarah Connor.
The vermin have been exterminated.
It took me a minute to realize this was Terminator. Yeah. I was like, wait a second. This is Terminator. It is. We'll get to it.
It's Terminator with some like Ghostbusters aesthetics.
Yeah. We'll get to it.
Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters!
We'll get to it. But yes, it absolutely is. So the movie we're talking about today, I don't know what year it's from. 2017 film, written and directed by Nicole Jones-Dion.
Stasis.
You just signed a death sentence for the whole world.
This was a fan recommendation. Don't know if this was through Facebook or Patreon. I know it was one of the two.
Interesting. Well, the thing that's interesting about it that I noticed right away is... so the director, as I mentioned, Nicole Jones-Dion, writer-director, she's not from Arizona, but this movie was filmed in Arizona.
He's a kid. He's harmless.
No, he's trouble.
You're jealous.
And I don't know if you noticed, the main actress has been in a movie we've done before. The kid. The girl.
Hey.
Hey, I was just,
Hungry?
Let's get a zoom in.
Her and her boyfriend, actually, both. And I'm talking about the teenagers.
Was it the alien?
Battlefield 2025.
Man.
Yes. So they are Arizona film, stars at this point. But yes, they were both in Battlefield 2025. Had small parts.
I thought she looked somewhat familiar.
Yeah, I was like, God, I know her from something, and I was scrolling through her IMDb, and that's what it is, Battlefield 2025. So yes, but this movie, we're just gonna jump right in because Kyle, I have a hot take about this movie. Do you know what my hot take is?
Is that it's good?
Yep, my hot take is that this movie is pretty good.
You're too late. We've run out of blackbird pie.
Well, I guess we'll have to come back yesterday before they're all gone.
So I'll just, I kind of agree. Man, we just ruined it already.
Yes.
But this film, for what it is kind of competent.
Yes.
But all the sci-fi stuff was done on a budget like less than a Renaissance fair.
Yes. It is a fascinating combination of very low budget, but still looks pretty good for the most part. Even some of but also a combination of pretty good performances and really not good performances.
It accomplished the #1 goal when it comes to writing a film. Make it make sense within its own little world.
Yes.
Sir, do you have any idea how difficult it is to monitor all of downtime? Past is a big place.
Dude, the world building in this movie is some of the more for this kind of movie has some of the more impressive and like thought out and like world building that actually holds together. And I'm like, okay, sure.
I 100% agree with the acting and the writing. I think are the strongest parts of this.
Be a temporal agent, he said. Change the world, he said.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the direction's pretty good, but we'll get into it. But that's the hot take right on that.
There's a lot of spoiler right there.
Yeah, big spoiler. This movie's pretty good. But moment one of this movie, a nuke goes off and we get a pre-rendered nuclear bomb asset, like a purchased stock nuclear bomb asset, and we get a voiceover saying that 7 billion people were killed in the last Great War.
7 billion people were killed in the last Great War.
And this opening confused me so much, Kyle, because I had read the IMDb blurb about what this movie was about. And if you read the IMDb blurb, hold on, let me read the IMDb blurb real quick, because I literally stopped to the movie and was like, am I watching the right movie? Like, what am I watching right now? I thought maybe like Tubi or whatever, or Amazon or whatever had put the wrong movie in here. Here's the blurb. After a night out of partying, Ava wakes up and sneaks back home, only to find out that somebody's already in her bed that looks exactly like her. Ava learns that a time-traveling fugitive has stolen her body and she is now a ghost and invisible to everyone. And I was like, what does this nuclear bomb have to do with that at all?
It feels like the company that they sold this to, like they sold the distribution to, had no idea what this film was about.
Yeah, that could be fair. Yeah, I could buy that. But so it does actually make sense. You get there eventually. I'm like, okay, the time traveling thing, and it's actually really interesting for a story conceit, in my opinion. We'll get to it in a second. But I was very confused. I was like, what are we watching here? So then we cut to this couple, these wearing this mask. It's a guy and a girl wearing this masks, like walking through the desert.
Some Rollerblade 7 kind of aesthetics.
Yes. And that is, like you said, maybe the cheesiest thing about the movie, but it's not terrible. But it is like the costumes and the props. You can tell they were working on a very limited budget. But they do okay with the limited budget they have. It's not like terrible looking.
It definitely makes sense. It makes sense for like this resistance force that it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for this like evil empire cabal force though.
I think it could actually track for them too, because it's a world that is like all fucked, and so even the evil like cabal forces don't have that many resources.
They're like the Enclave from Fallout.
Yeah, basically that's kind of how I envision it. That even the all powerful evil cabal or whatever is still dealing with a world that is completely fucked by nuclear fallout, so they don't really have like that much in the way of resources or whatever.
And I'll bet anything that the rebels have moved their stasis chambers underground.
We get this. We're watching these two people walk through, and she says that, like, the girl talking says, we realized we had to make a choice.
We can either carve out a new future for ourselves on this tombstone of a dying planet.
We can either stay here and try to make a life, or we go back to the fairy tale past and try to change things or something like that. And I was like,
or go back to that fairy tale.
Wait, what is happening? Again, I had no idea what was going on here. I thought this was going to be more of like a thriller mystery about a teenage girl trying to figure out like who this body like double what, you know what I mean?
No, it's Terminator.
It's Terminator. I was not prepared for that. And it was a fun surprise, I'm going to be honest.
In an insane world, it was the sanest choice.
And I love, so they get, anyway, so they get to this like base called like dome base or whatever, and they give their little secret code message.
This thing is going to be throughout the entire film.
Is this the way to get to Piccadilly Circus?
You're too late. We've run out of Blackbird pie.
They have like a little secret back and forth code message that lets them know that people are part of the resistance or the rebels or whatever. And they meet this scientist guy who is like he can do time travel. He can make you time travel.
It seemed like
some technology.
The dude at one point, it seemed like it was almost commercialized at one point.
Yeah,
because the guy was like, "Oh yeah, we're required to log like 500 time traveling hours."
Yeah.
Well, we're all required to log 500 hours before we're certified, so yes.
Because she asked, like, have you ever done it? And he goes, yeah, we have to log 500 hours in order to, like, be a person who does it to other people or something.
Are you trying to get, like, your commercial pilot's license or something?
Which is really interesting. And the thing that was fascinating to me, I'm like, okay, so this bombed out nuclear future has time travel, sure, and again, like whatever. It's
also
the conceit of the movie.
Time travel would be regulated. To that degree.
Regulated, and everybody just can seemingly kind of do it. Like it's not that big of a deal.
Sometimes I wish time travel had never been invented.
But the way it works is really interesting, in my opinion, and we'll get into it in a second. But this gets to kind of the first thing that the movie I think does pretty well, and it is a strength of the script, is that a lot of times when movies like this that are doing like a post-apocalyptic thing are trying to try to do world building, they add like lingo and shit, and it's often so cheesy and bad.
Battlefield Earth, piece of cake.
Piece of cake. Piece of cake. Piece of cake. Piece of cake.
Yeah, or what's man animals and like all that kind of stuff. And probably even stuff from like Ember Days that I can't remember.
It's time to finish what was started. New immortals have been foretold. That's why I brought the Fallen One to you.
But in this movie, a lot of the lingo that they create feels right and feels good. Like they talk about like NCNG protocol, which means nothing comes, nothing goes, and you like don't really know what that means, but then you kind of realize like, oh, they're talking about time travel. That means they can't take anything with them or bring anything back or whatever.
Which, I don't know, what would they bring forward and back? Like
You're familiar with the NCNG protocol, I hope?
Nothing comes, nothing goes.
That's good. That's good.
I don't know how they could even, because it doesn't seem possible the way the time travel works. Because you don't physically, your body doesn't physically travel. But we'll get to it here in just a second. But so this couple gets there and they want to go back in time so that they can help the resistance. And so he straps them up. They got to strip down to their underwear. He puts them in these little pods or whatever, and then he injects them with some green chemical. And I don't know if you noticed, they do the close up of the needle injection. Yeah. And he so clearly doesn't go into her arm. And they couldn't even be bothered. It's one of those little details. You couldn't even be bothered to get one of the retractable needles. They just push it against her arm in the close up, and you can tell that they're not.
Or even do just something as simple as just mask it with after
or something. Just anything, but they clearly just kind of push it against her skin. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. Okay. So then she launches back, and we don't know what happened. They go into some sort of like fugue state, and then we get the opening credits. Opening credits very boring. Who cares? Doesn't matter.
The opening kind of reminded me a little of Doctor Who with the.
Oh, it is kind of like a swirly, vortexy kind of thing. Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So then we get out of the credits and we're back in 2017. So the future, and I don't know if they mentioned it at the beginning. They may have, but throughout the movie, it'll pop up a bunch on the screen. The future timeline is 2067.
50 years in the future.
Yeah, 50 years in the future. But now it's 2017. And we're introduced to a mother and daughter fighting. It's a classic teenage daughter relationship. They hate each other. They're fighting. Also, the color grade in this particular scene is not great. The skin tones are a little like yellow greeny. Yep. They don't look incredible, but whatever. It's fine. That stuff's hard. Then they get in a big fight, but the daughter wants to go to a party. She's getting all dressed up, ready to go out to a party with her friends, and she's very excited because she's going to hook up with her boyfriend or whatever. Matt, I think his name's Matt.
I called him Jesse because he just looks like Jesse from Breaking Bad.
A little bit. That kid was also in Battlefield 2025.
I'd imagine it's a very like tight niche community for their film crew over there in Arizona.
I would imagine. So she sneaks out to go to this party after fighting with her mom, and she gets to the party and her friend is there. I don't remember her name. But her friend is there, and her friend immediately is like, hey, you want some drugs so you can be nice and drugged up to sleep with your boyfriend for the first time? And she immediately downs like 3 pills and just overdoses immediately. Immediately overdoses. She's just like, yeah, give me all them pills, and then sits down and is like, whoops, and falls over. And they're all like,
this doesn't seem to be having an effect. Let me take more.
Yeah.
What happened?
I don't know. She was fine a few seconds ago.
And she's like, and they're like, oh shit, somebody called 911. But obviously they're at an illegal party, so nobody does anything. But right in this moment, she like passes out, and then
how do they get her body back to her house? Do they just like?
They don't.
Who does though?
Oh, I don't know how that happens. Okay. Yeah, they kind of gloss over that. That is a give me. I'll give you that. I'm not sure how that happens, because then Ava wakes up in the desert and like everybody's gone, and she's like, what's going on? And she wakes up and she's still wearing the same clothes from the night before. So it's like she just passed out and everybody left her there, and she wakes up. And then she gets home and goes to like knock on the door, and her mom, I think, can't see. Or no, she looks through her window first because she's going to sneak in. That's what it is. And she looks in and she sees herself in her bed. Dun, dun, dun. She's like, what the what is going on?
And then we start getting like the ghost treatment, like straight up Patrick Swayze from Ghost. Where like the ghost can interact with the world, but very limitedly.
Yeah, she can like kind of interact with electronics through like a little like static zappiness that she can do. So she can like ring the doorbell, and later she can like text and stuff like that. But that's about it. But she is like a ghost essentially. She can't. So like when she rings the doorbell, her mom answers it and is like, hello? Oh, there's nobody here. And she's like yelling, and we get like a voice effect whenever she's talking to make it sound like she's in like another realm or whatever.
I thought I heard something at the door.
You need to get her. Get out. Get it. No.
Meanwhile, in the bedroom, the person that is now in Ava's body, we find out the way the time travel works, Kyle, is fascinating in my opinion.
It makes sense in this regard. They're like scouring the past for people who have passed away.
Yes.
Basically. They find out exactly when they died, and then they send the consciousness of the person in the future into that now empty vessel.
Like right at the moment where they die. But like, so there's almost like no break in continuity. So like the other people around just assume they're still alive. Like they don't realize they died basically. And it basically takes somebody who died and takes over their body and lets you pilot them or whatever. And they call them vessels, which again, I thought was a pretty good like lingo term for it that wasn't like, I don't know, it didn't feel like overly cheesy or like overly try hard.
The guard mentioned the possibility of getting a replacement vessel. This is too young for field work.
But so she's in a room, and this is Seattle, and Seattle is the girl from the beginning who got sent back in time. She got sent back with Lancer, so it's Agent Lancer and Agent Seattle, and she contacts Lancer on the laptop and is like, "I've arrived. Where are you?" And they plan to go meet up. Meanwhile, back in 2067, we get introduced to our evil space navy, which looks like something out of a Red Alert video game.
The main dude who's like the superior guy.
Oh yeah,
was that Walter Koenig?
No,
looked like him.
You know who that is? It's incredible. So the guy who plays the evil space cabal guy, who is Chief Minister Marshall, is William Frederick Knight. Incredibly prolific voice actor. I didn't know this. I just looked it up because I was like, this guy seems like he should be somebody. Yeah. Do you know who he is?
No. His voice is very good, though.
He is the Section 9 Department Chief Aramaki in Ghost in the Shell.
Ah, fucking Chief? Really?
Have they issued any claims or demands?
Not at this time, sir.
And in Ghost in the Shell 2.0 and all of the Ghost in the Shell sequels and everything.
That's awesome.
He is Miyako in Akira. He is Kenzo in a couple episodes of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. He's Burt Riggs in Fallout 4. He's the Sultan in Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, the PlayStation game from back in the day. He's Van Damme in the Cowboy Bebop movie. He was in 2 episodes of TOS as an actor, like the original Star Trek, the original series. So he's done. Oh, also he was in a series of terrible erotica movies. He's in a movie called Sex Files: Alien Erotica. That came out in 1994, and I looked this up because I was like, "What is this?" It's only available on like porn sites. It's literally like a Skinamax like X Files spoof.
That's hilarious.
It's incredible.
That's great.
Yeah.
Where the Twilight Zone meets the erogenous zone.
So he's been in all kinds of stuff, but he plays the evil chief minister of the Cabal, and the Cabal has like, they're very mad that somebody made an illegal time travel jump, and they're like, we gotta find him, we gotta go figure out, like, we gotta go get him or whatever.
A jump causes ripples, and ripples have consequences.
Meanwhile, back in 2017, Seattle is like psyched that there's food, so she just eats everything in the pantries. But then also makes up with her mom because she has no idea what all the drama was. Her mom comes in and is like, "Hey, about last night," and she's like, "Nah, sorry about that."
Her mom is giving an emotional like just yank back and forth this whole time.
Her mom has got to be like, "What the fuck is going on?" Last night you were screaming at me, and this morning you're like, "I guess that's what it's like to have a teenager." I don't know, maybe.
We need to talk.
Why start now?
Do you think I'd like living like this?
But she also breaks it off with Matt.
Our Jesse Pinkman character.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want to be with you anymore, blah, blah, blah. Then she meets up with Lancer. And this is maybe the weirdest part of the movie, is that there's this whole subplot. So these two are a couple, but Lancer, when he traveled back, ended up in the body of like a 25-year-old man.
He was a college student.
Yeah. Like 22, 20, whatever.
His body, or the person he took over, died in a hazing incident.
Yes. Yeah, they do say that.
Some sort of fraternity hazing ritual gone south.
So he's like 22 or something. But Seattle is in the body of like a 15-year-old. And when they first meet up, he goes in to hug her, and there's like this awkward moment, and this will be a thing the whole movie where they're like, what do we do about this? Because we're a couple, but you're in the body of a 15-year-old. I'm like, why would you make this in your movie? Don't put this in your movie. It's the one thing where I'm like, I would just change that. I would not do that.
Especially if the two of you are going to be working together. Don't want to raise too many questions.
So they get back in the world, and another little part of the lingo that they kept saying that I really liked is they kept calling it uptime when they're the future. Instead of saying like the future, they would be like, see you uptime or whatever, which I thought was it kind of works and it's kind of kind of cool.
We've seen worse.
Yeah, well, don't get me wrong. It's better than being uptime.
But anyway, so they're talking about how it's better being here, like in these bodies, than it is being uptime or whatever, even though it's weird. But she can request a swap. She's like, they're like, can I request a vessel swap? Because I don't want to be a 15-year-old or whatever.
The guard mentioned the possibility of getting a replacement vessel. This is too young for field work.
Oh God! And I love that the general or whatever guy, whoever they're talking to in this moment, is like, yeah, you can swap, especially if you two are going to be working together, because we don't want to raise too many questions. And it's like, yeah, man, yeah. Anyway, so we see them in the base, and we're introduced. I think this might be where we're introduced to like the scientist guy who works for the rebels or whatever. There's like a tech guy who like does stuff for the rebels.
He's like he's insanely stereotypically nerdy.
Yeah, he says things like yipperdoodles, and like they're like, what is wrong with this nerd and stuff like that.
So you can actually build this?
Yipperdoodles.
This is like, and I was like, at this point we're like 20-30 minutes in the movie or something, and I'm like, it actually looks pretty good too. Like it's pretty effectively directed. Like you don't have a lot of wasted time, and wasted lingering shots. Like so often in
screen direction, there's no confusing screen direction.
Yeah,
really.
It's not like brilliantly directed. It's very like standard basic coverage, but it like at least communicates effectively what's happening in scenes, and the pacing works pretty well. I think that my biggest issue with the look of the movie is that it's lit pretty well, and all that sort of stuff, and it's shot effectively, but it's really clean and digital looking. Yeah. It looks like a sci-fi original movie.
Yeah, I got that in a few areas for sure.
Like it has that too clean look. I think
what really would have helped the scenes, particularly with all the tech stuff, is a couple of like kickers with like a light scheme on it or something like that.
Yeah,
something like kind of what we have.
I think more so. No, I don't even know if it's that, because I think like I said, I think the lighting is actually pretty solid. I think the bigger thing would be the color grade, the color grade and the edit and just in the post process. Tweaking the color grade essentially, and adding some grain or something. I don't know, it's just too clean and digital looking. It just feels kind of cheap, even though it looks fairly well lit. But anyways, so then a Cabal assassin so they send a message back to 2067, I think, requesting the vessel swap, but it gets intercepted by some Cabal assassin guy. Yeah. So now they know that there's people in 2017, like where they are, who they are, or something.
So they send like quote unquote their top assassin or whatever back in time.
Badass chick with an undercut who's like, I'm gonna kick everybody's ass, and then she's in the movie for 30 seconds because I didn't even think about it. I'm like, oh, they introduced this badass chick, and then she gets into the machine, and then she's not in the movie anymore because she goes into a different body.
Exactly. They have her create a device that we have no clue what this thing does, but they have all this futuristic stuff. Is like, you can make this back in 2017.
Yeah, this special device.
Yeah,
which we'll get to. It's incredible.
The object looks like just a bunch of lighting sockets.
It's clearly like electrical parts, little conduit parts, like screwed together or whatever. But what it does is very funny, and we'll get to it. But so she gets sent back in time, and what she gets sent back in time to is some woman being choked to death by some. It's like, Jesus Christ! I don't feel like that's maybe a bit.
It feels like some. Oh, it's obviously some kink shit.
No. I think it's just a guy murdering a woman. I do not think it's like a fun, like we're having fun to get. No. I think he's like murdering her.
All right.
I think. At least I assume that's what happened, because then she shows up in her body and then just kills him. And I think it's supposed to be like, she got revenge for her or what. I don't know. It's a dark scene for this like fun adventure movie that's kind of like it's not a kid's movie.
No. I'm put in the area of like possibly young adult.
Yeah, it's like a family. It's supposed to be kind of like appeal to everybody. There's nothing like, there's not really language or violence.
It's like PG-13 plus.
Yeah, well, really, this is the only scene that makes it plus. Apart from that, it's pretty generic, like action PG-13.
There's a little bit of blood and gore, which you don't really get with most PG
I guess
films.
that's true. I didn't think about that. But it's still not like super intense. But this scene, I'm like, Jesus Christ. All right. Anyway, so now we have and now this is where we're like, oh, it's Terminator. We're doing Terminator. Okay, we're doing Terminator now. They literally send this lady back so that she can be Terminator and go find Sarah Connor. And so anyways, Then we cut and we have this incredible scene that I had to, my note is just all caps. Can we please stop have the 16 and 25-year-old reminisce about how they used to hook up? That's really uncomfortable. It's a really, really uncomfortable movie. I do not like this. I do not like this at all.
Maybe we were out sick that day.
We were out sick a lot.
Writer and director, what are you trying to say?
Yeah, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And again, the movie is aware, and the movie like tries to make it like a running gag. Like, isn't it fun? And it's like, oh, it's just weird. It's just weird, man.
Oh, you got stuck with a kid, huh? Too bad. You should ask the captain for a new skin.
I think they should have just made them like siblings or something. Like, if you want to do the like one of them's trapped in a kid's body, that's fine. But make them like siblings, or I don't know, make them not have a sexual history. It just makes it very gross. I don't like it.
I don't want it. I told you I don't want it.
But the girl who's the assassin, I can't remember her name. The Terminator. I don't know. I don't remember what her name is, but I think they might even just call her like the Huntress or something like that.
Yeah, I think Hunter is it.
It's about to get a lot smaller. Send in the hunter.
But she creates like Terminator vision glasses for herself. And that's, again, like the cheesiest part of the movie is like the glasses are just sunglasses with a little like thing stuck
like
on them.
An interface that can see effectively ghosts?
Apparently, yeah, that will be a thing later, is that it can see ghosts. But now it basically just operates as Terminator vision, where it's like target searching for target or whatever. And so now she's able to find, I think that this is Nightingale, who's like one of the communicators for the rebellion in 2017. She's like the radio operator who communicates back in time. And she's like walking down the street, and the Huntress finds her and like chases her into an alley. And the Huntress is, or the Nightingale lady's like, hey, you can kill me. I'll just get another sleeve and be back, or whatever, or another skin and be back.
If you kill this vessel, I'll just come back in a new skin.
And the Huntress is like, we got a new trick. And she pulls out the little device.
Yes. And pushes whatever button, throws it like a grenade.
But you know what it is, Kyle?
It's the ghost trap.
It's the ghost trap from Ghostbusters. It sucks your soul out into the ghost trap. And so it sucks the soul out of the vessel, puts it into the little ghost trap. She picks it up, sets it in a hole in the wall, calls in and goes, hey, I got a vermin for extraction or whatever. And then in 2067, somebody comes and finds the hole in the wall that she marked and pulls the little thing out, and they have her. I was like, that's great. That's great. It's great. It's great. Really fun.
It does break a little bit of time rules kind of thing here, because it wasn't.
Oh, this movie plays fast and loose with time travel rules.
So does this follow Back to the Future time rules, or just actual Terminator?
I think it's, well, I don't know the difference, I guess, between Back to the Future and Terminator.
Back to the Future is everything that happens in the past will affect the future,
right?
But Terminator it creates an alternative time.
I would say they're going for the Back to the Future version, not alternate universe or alternate, splitting timelines.
It always fails. It has to, or else we wouldn't be here.
The difference is between Marty like looking at his parents not hooking up and him slowly disappearing.
Right. I think we're going for the past, because that would make sense with her putting it in the wall, and then in the future they're able to find it there, because it's obviously not a diverging timeline or whatever. But that gets kind of fast and loose later. We'll get, like, I don't know. They kind of just, I'm like, I don't know if the time travel rules totally work, but it's fine. Time travel doesn't make sense anyway, so it's fine. There's a shot right around the 39-minute mark that I need you to keep to put in. It's Lancer and Seattle are like walking up to, I think, her apartment or somebody's apartment. Yeah. And there's this background behind them, and they're like discussing like their relationship or whatever. And I think that the background, it might not be, but it looks to me like the background is the high school where we filmed the scene from Pocket Man.
That
and
would be
Cargo
incredible.
Boy. I could be wrong, and there's no way you're even going to be able to tell or know, because I don't even remember what the heck that high school was. It just
I'm sure we were in Scottsdale for that.
I don't remember where we were for that at all. But the back, I was just like, man, that looks like that part. And I don't know. That wouldn't make sense, because apparently there's an apartment right across from it, but they might not have actually filmed that. I don't know. Anyways, it looks like that. I was like, that looks familiar to me, which would be crazy. So she can ghost type, like you said. She can use electricity to like type on a computer. And this lets Seattle know that Ava's ghost is there. She starts like typing on her laptop, and Seattle is like, wait, are you here?
Is that you, Ava? You're still here, aren't you?
And this will become a thing, is that this is like apparently a thing that can happen, but we'll get to that in a second. We cut back to the rebel base, and maybe the worst actor in the movie is the leader of the rebels, the older guy.
The older tech, the guy who's controlling the jump back stuff.
Yeah, no, yeah, right. I guess no, I'm talking about in the in 2017.
The bald dude. Yeah,
the older like leader of the rebels guy there. There's this great scene where because Nightingale was the comm person who's like missing. He like it's just a wide flat wide shot. He walks up like past her station and stops in frame and goes,
"Has anyone heard from Agent Nightingale?
Has anyone heard from Agent Nightingale? It's unusual for her not to check in."
It's unusual for her to not check in.
And then he just walks out of frame, and I'm just like, that's so cheesy.
Oh, good.
And again, so much of the movie works so well, but every now and then there's a moment like that where you're just like, But anyways, back in 2067, so they take Nightingale's soul in the little machine and they like suck all the information out of it.
They freaking mummify her.
Yeah, well, yes, they suck all the information out of her soul or whatever, and that somehow mummifies her body back in 2067
and
or whatever.
Not just like shriveled.
Oh,
she
no.
looks like petrified wood.
Yeah, she's like, exactly. Yeah, she looks like she got carved out of wood. It's crazy. So she's dead, but yeah, they can apparently like suck all the information out, and that that's what that does. But so now the rebels know that they found Nightingale's body, and they're gonna go like find this. So they know a huntress is about, so they gotta go like stop the huntress or whatever. I love when he says like, we found Nightingale's body in an alley, and he points at a map, and where he points at the map is clearly like an elevation map of like hills or it's like that's not an alley, man. That's like it's like the little like wavy lines for like a mesa or something. He's like, this alley. I'm like, that's not an alley. But they got to go hunting for the huntress or whatever. And this is where Seattle tells Lancer that Ava is a remnant.
I can't tell anyone, but I think my new skin's a remnant.
She's like, hey, so what's going on here is that Ava is a remnant. And they explain that remnants are created. And again, this all feels kind of interestingly thought out. Remnants are created if you jump into somebody who's not quite dead yet.
Yeah.
So they thought Ava was dead.
You literally kick them out of their body.
Yes.
Wasn't dead
So
yet.
if the girl is a remnant, that means that somebody at headquarters messed up big time.
And so they thought Ava was dead, so she jumped in, but Ava wasn't dead, so her soul like jumps out and she becomes like a ghost or whatever, which is kind of interesting. It's like, oh yeah, okay, that feels like it makes sense for this dumb like sci-fi fantasy story. Like, sure, okay.
I think it was a premature jump.
Shit. You mean she wasn't dead yet?
And yeah, so now they have to figure out what to do about this, and they can't tell anybody because it's like a big problem.
Which I'm like, you guys are rebels. Like,
yeah, who cares? Like, you're gonna get sanctioned. Like, what are you talking about? Like, they're all.
You should sanction me. Sanction me with your army. Oh, wait a minute. You don't have an army.
They're just murdering you all anyway. It's like, yeah, what do you? Okay. Anyways, so her. So they have to figure out what to do about this remnant. Meanwhile, Ava's mom knows something's going on, so she goes to investigate and snoops. I think because Matt talks to her. Matt comes over.
I talk about this older guy.
There's something about Ava that, as her mother, I think you ought to know.
Yeah, and this was so confusing to me at first, and I figured out eventually what was going on. But she comes into Ava's room and she opens her laptop and she looks at it, and it pulls up the like military chat log.
It looks like a freaking window from like an IBM computer from like the 80s.
Yes, and the text on it is like, the package is secure. It's like secret agent shit. And her mom's like, oh no. And I'm like,
she's trafficking drugs.
I guess that's what she thinks. Yeah, she thinks she's trafficking drugs. But I'm like, wait, did she just like surmise that her daughter? Did she like open that and go, oh no, my daughter's a secret agent like that? Because that's what I would think if I found that. But no, she's like, oh, she must be dealing drugs. And this older guy is like a drug dealer or something like that. Oh God, it's so funny.
Are you dealing drugs?
Jesus, no.
Did you have sex with him?
I'm not having this conversation right now.
So yeah, so she she thinks she might be like hooking up with this older guy.
You're gonna wake up one day my age and have a teenager that hates you.
And then I think she confronts him at some point. But meanwhile, back in 2067, the scientist guy is like, oh, he gets the transfer request for Seattle to get an adult body instead of a child, and he's gonna go do it. But right as he's going to do it,
assault on the compound.
The goddamn cabal shows
up with machine guns, grenades, everything.
Yeah, and they just start unloading and killing everybody. We get a Wilhelm scream. Did you hear that?
I heard the Wilhelm scream.
We get a Wilhelm scream, which is great. And then
they bust into the stasis chamber and kill everybody who's in stasis.
He just drops a grenade in there and they all just fucking explode. And then Seattle in Ava's body wakes up screaming in 2017 like she's on fire because her body got exploded or whatever. Which I thought was kind of interesting. It's fun. It's kind of like this weird mixture of like The Matrix and Terminator almost, or not The Matrix. What's that show? Altered Carbon. In Altered Carbon, they can like put your consciousness into like sleeves or whatever they call them.
If this was like The Matrix, they would be dead once their future bodies went.
It's more like kind of like Altered Carbon, I think. I haven't watched that in a long time, but anyways, so they blow up Lancer and Seattle's body. And then, so they're like kind of panicking and don't know what to do. And Lancer and Seattle have this conversation outside the Rebel base in 2017. And he's like,
we can leave right now, just you and me.
We should just get out of here. We should just run away.
There's no rebellion at this point.
Well, and here's the thing he says I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Is he goes,
it always fails. It has to, or else we wouldn't be here.
The rebellion has to fail. It would always fail or else we wouldn't be here.
Yes.
Because if it succeeded, we wouldn't need to be here doing this.
Which would be the time, Back to the Future time thing.
And I'm like, that's actually true, again, depending on which time travel rules we're following and how strictly or whatever. I'm like, maybe he's right. I don't know.
Scientists say follows Terminator rules. That is, it's one way only and you can't go back.
Then randomly Ava jumps into the car. Ava can teleport as a ghost. That's the other thing. She can teleport. She can just like think a person or a location and she just like VoIPs there. She ends up in the car with Matt, her boyfriend, and her friend from the beginning, and they're just like making out.
Yes, and she's like, I don't know how she's sending them a message from her account.
She sends a psychic text message that's like, cheater, whore, you cheaters.
Yeah, but like it's from her, it would be from her cellular number.
Yes,
the way it's popping up.
Yeah, no, it's what. Yeah, but somehow she sends it psychically through the ether. I don't know. Who cares? It's fine. But so she's really mad. It doesn't matter.
With this new feature, you can send psychic text messages. Standard rates will apply.
I bet it is very pricey to send psychic text messages. It's like 25 cents a pop.
Not for Miss Cleo.
There's way more for her.
If you've never had a reading from a real psychic, try us right now for free.
So, yeah, like you said earlier, the Huntress can see Ava's ghost with her dumb Terminator glasses things. And Ava just straight up betrays the rebels here. Because, and to be fair to Ava, she doesn't really have any idea what's going on.
All she knows is somebody hijacked her body.
Yeah, and she has no idea what's going on. So she finds this other woman who's like, is able to see her, and she basically tells her where the rebels are. She's like, hey, yeah, they're at this, because she went there at one point.
They're on Dantooine.
Yeah. Basically. Or they're in this thing where there's like a homeless guy out front who like does the secret message or whatever. That guy was great. I liked his character.
One vessel was decapitated in a car accident. That was messy.
So she shows up at their rebel base and just starts murdering everybody, and then she has a ton of the little ghost traps.
Yeah, she starts ghost trapping everybody.
Literally, she ghost traps like a half dozen or a dozen people or something. Meanwhile,
arguably you could say she's kind of like saving them.
Yeah.
Because now that they have a conscience that's stuck somewhere, and it's not in their rotting corpses that's in the rebel base in the future.
Yeah, they are. It's like the library episode of Doctor Who where they all Donna Noble has left the library. Donna Noble has been saved. Yeah, exactly.
Donna Noble has left the library. Donna Noble has been saved.
No, it's it's interesting. Like I said, it's kind of an interesting idea. I don't know do you know what the tech guy, he does like a last stand where he like uploads a virus?
He's uploading a virus that wipes their system and anyone who tries to interact with it. So I guess the idea was that it would wipe the system in the future too.
Cabal tries to access our data and wipe the servers. Take theirs out with it.
Okay, I see. I was like, I couldn't tell what he was doing there, but yeah, I don't even know if it's successful or not. I guess it's not. Maybe
we don't know.
Yeah, I guess
because
we don't know.
We don't really go back into the future at all after this.
Yeah, not really. Yeah, you're right. I just realized. Yeah, the villain guy's only in like those 2 scenes. The big bad villain guy.
Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as the night.
Anyways, but yeah, he's doing his Independence Day virus upload, and that maybe succeeds, maybe fails. We're not sure.
Virus.
Then Lancer gets shot during that, like, because Lancer and Ava are there. Lancer gets shot in like the shoulder while they're escaping. She drags him back to her house.
Like, it's a clean shot went clean through. You'll be all right.
You'll be fine.
I'm pretty sure that's like he's gonna start like having a collapsed lung.
Yeah.
It's clean. The bullet passed all the way through.
Well, and she pulls him and like drags him into her teenager, like the bedroom at her home. I'm like, your mom is gonna be psyched about this. And then they're gonna kiss Kyle. I'm like, no, don't do it. Like, she's like batching up his thing and she like leans in to kiss him. But then her mom busts into the room and is like, what the fuck are you doing? And she pulls a gun on her mom.
Yes.
No cops.
And her mom's like, what is happening? It's kind of incredible. I was having a lot of fun with it. And then so Ava or Seattle's like, I got a tired mom.
I will say this is a bit of a weakness in the writing.
Yes.
Where we had to come up with like, well, how are we going to find them now? Boop, boop. I found them.
Yes. The ending of the movie is the clunkiest part. Like up to 75% of the way through the movie, I think the script actually works really well and is pretty tight. The ending, it feels very much like, we got to wrap this up somehow. Let's just, I don't know, like let's just get it all wrapped up. It just kind of feels like it kind of clunkily comes together, but it's fine.
Oh, well, isn't that convenient?
Because then at this point, Seattle knows Ava is there.
Yes, this is hilariously contrived. I love this part. It's so stupid because she basically puts it like it says, "F it." There's no rebellion. Like the rebellion doesn't exist. We're just gonna tell them everything.
Yeah,
we're not supposed to share knowledge of future events.
And then literally gives her a Lilu looking up at the definition of war from The Fifth Element.
Exactly what it is. It's just like, and I always love in movies when they do this, when they're like, it's like the like showing this naive character the future that is coming, but it's always just like shots of war.
I would absolutely love somebody to look at that and be like, the fuck was this?
Yeah, because
what is this, a music video from 2000?
Exactly. It's like there's nothing coherent in it. It's just like shots of like a tank, shots of people with guns. You're like, what am I supposed to get out of this? It's not any information. You know what I mean? Like it would be way more helpful to give her a single Wikipedia article.
I need a YouTube video that's like an iceberg dive.
We need a 2067 YouTube video that is the last Great War explained in all caps. The nuclear war that killed 7 billion people explained iceberg. Anyways, oh god. So she shows her this video that apparently makes her realize, oh, I was helping the bad guys or whatever. So Ava's ghost now realized she fucked up and that she needs to help them. But just as, and then the Huntress shows up because she told the Huntress where they were.
Yes.
Anyways, because she saw, to be fair to Ava, she saw Seattle holding her mom at gunpoint and was like, well, fuck this, and goes to get the Huntress to try to help and then realizes that she fucked up.
Which I was breaking down the end here, and this part does make sense, where she still wants to capture them, because at the end of the day, if her body gets killed, the hunter,
who is her?
The hunter.
Yeah.
If her body gets killed, she just goes back to the future.
Right.
But if they do, they go.
Yeah.
So the idea is she needs to capture them for the Cabal.
Right. Yes.
That's why she's not just going in guns blazing.
Right. So Lancer at this point is bleeding out. He's dying. Huntress has the mom like held, like she breaks in. She's able to like grab the mom. And I think she has a knife as well.
Yes.
And then Seattle gets a knife from like the butcher, or maybe Lancer gives her a knife. I can't remember. They have a knife.
Kitchen knife, basically.
Yeah, and then we get this really funny like little knife fight moment where the Seattle as the teenager comes out. It's like, I'm gonna knife fight you.
They're using the mom as like a human shield.
Yeah, she's like, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. And she's able to get her away or whatever. And then the huntress like grabs Ava and is like holding her. And she has the ghost trap, and she's like monologuing, and it's like, I'm gonna suck your soul out, you stupid blah blah blah. But then Ava, as a ghost, is able to show up and
activate it, and then for some reason,
this is the big,
they play musical chairs with "Where's the Soul."
It makes no sense because up until this point, the way this trap has worked is it just sucks one soul out of one person and puts it in the trap. Right? Yeah. That's how we know it works. In this moment, it goes off, and it just like you said, swaps everybody around, and it's like, all right, sure, whatever. So it transfers Ava's ghost back into her body.
It transfers the hunter into the device, and then it transfers Seattle into the hunter's body,
which isn't immediately obvious because like the hunter starts coming back or waking up, and Lancer starts panicking like, oh shit, and he grabs a knife, and he's gonna like
he like grabs Ava first, is like, Seattle, are you all right? And she's like, get away from me, you fucking old man.
Yeah.
No, I'm Ava.
Really does. And then he grabs a knife and like holds it up to the huntress's throat and is like, I'm gonna kill you or whatever. And she's like,
do you know the way to Piccadilly Circus?
What?
The Blackbird's pie or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. Whatever
she says the passphrase.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you're
her,
okay,
yeah.
Cool. I'm glad everything worked out conveniently.
Yeah, and I was like, boy, that was a really convenient ending we just got here. Also, we have a really terrible ADR scene where Ava and her mom like make up. They're like talking to each other, and the ADR is so overcooked and bad. But anyways,
I'm sorry.
Come here, honey. Give me a hug.
Then we get like a little bit of time passed to the next day, and they use an insert stock footage shot of a sunrise, and I have used that exact stock footage shot of a sunrise. Yes. Kyle, I can tell you when and where on a promo for The Breakfast Show like 12 years ago. I used that exact. Nice. If I can find it, which I probably can't, I'll put a clip of it in. I bet I can't find it, but I did, a promo for a breakfast show at the news station we worked at, and I used that exact sunrise in the promo. Nice. I was like, I recognize that. Anyways, and then we at this point we're an hour and 18 minutes into this hour and 30-minute movie, and the credits roll, and I was like,
okay,
it's another one of those.
They didn't even really sequel bait it.
No, they really didn't. It does just have like
it has the ability to be sequel baited. Yeah, there's still the Cabal out there.
Yeah, and our heroes decided to just go to California, which was their plan kind of all along. Lancer in Seattle. Now in the other person's body, they gonna go to California, and Ava and her mom just they rekindle their relationship or whatever, and that's fine. It's a pretty good movie, man.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good.
The writing is pretty competent. The acting is pretty good for what it needs to be.
The effects work fine. It's not like you said. The budget is low, and you can tell like some of the set design and art direction because of that is a little cheesy, but it like mostly works okay. The direction is good. The cinematography's fine. It's just a little too clean and like sterile, I guess. I don't know.
It does. I think the main thing is it's not super contrived.
No, and it just feels, and it's clearly like we said before, it's clearly Terminator mashed with like other, like it's not like an original thing, but it's done well enough that it feels like its own thing. And I think it's good bad. Bordering on just good.
Yeah, exactly.
Like legitimately bordering on just good. There are enough like it's not a great movie or even a good movie. Like it looks like a cheap, mediocre movie, but it's a good version of a cheap,
compared
mediocre
to most
movie.
of the stuff we find on Amazon.
God. Yes.
Oh my God, this was like a treasure find.
It's better than like 95% of movies we've ever watched by far, which I was not expecting when you look at it. And when you watch the trailer and you look at the review, that's the thing that's crazy. It had like a 3 on IMDb and like quite a lot of reviews.
I think this is in the area of like a 5-6 easily.
Oh, easily like a 6. Yeah. Or 5-6 in that range, depending on how we're measuring it, I guess. If I'm comparing it against other similar types of movies, it's like a 9 or a 10. If you're comparing it against actual movies, it's like a 5.
I'll just compare it to the majority of Amazon's library.
Yeah, well, I mean, Amazon. You mean like the stuff, like the non-big? Because Amazon has tons of real movies.
If we start taking out the actual studio stuff,
yeah. It's definitely higher end on the Amazon stuff, in my opinion. But it compared to a real movie, it's like a 5. But that's fine. That's fine. It's great. It's good. That's gonna do it for this episode. As always, you can do us a favor by heading over to patreon.com/GBorBB. Support us there. Get access to bonus content. We're about to record this month's bonus episode. We're gonna have a panic attack learning how to read a waffle or learning how to work at a Waffle House.
I was a little disappointed to find out that the video was not sponsored by WWE.
Why would it be sponsored by?
It's the meme that the Waffle Houses just being places where people fight. They even had an SNL.
Oh yeah.
No, my dad drove me.
You ready to go, baby girl?
But that movie will give you the most, or that video will give you so much anxiety.
Yes. You'd be like, thank God this isn't my job.
Yeah.
Unless you actually work for Waffle House. And then we're like, you have our sympathy.
I got done with it. Like, however much they get paid to work at Waffle House, not enough. I don't know how much it is, but it's not enough. But anyways, you can support us on Patreon, get access to that and other stuff. You can buy some merch. Head over to tpublic.com, search for Good, Bad, or Bad, GBorBB, Quantum Physics, whatever. Also, if you haven't been paying attention, we've been putting out shorts.
Yes, we've been putting out shorts. Highlights from previous episodes
and
stuff. Throw out some programmable matter.
Yes, so lots of shorts out there. Make sure you're following, or they were on Facebook and
YouTube right now.
Are the two right now that we're putting them all on. Just lots of little clips from old episodes, just short bite-sized versions. So yeah, look out for those and have fun watching those. It's kind of like a little trip through the past. You're like, oh, I remember that. Yeah,
exactly. Some people even said they've gone back and rewatched some episodes just from the little highlights.
There you go.
And so us on the YouTube side, we're like, yes,
good. Yes, it's working. It's working. Anyways, I have a podcast called This Film Is That we're talking about movies that are based on books. When this episode's out, our most recent episode will have been Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula specifically.
Are you watching the? Gary Oldman.
Coppola.
Okay, nice.
So we did March Madness for this one. It was a bracket. We had 16 different Dracula movies, and it came down. The final two were Nosferatu 2024 and Bram Stoker's Dracula, and Bram Stoker's Dracula won. So we'll be doing that on the main episode.
You didn't want to go with Dracula Dead and Loving It?
That was on the bracket. It was on the bracket. It got its ass kicked at some point. So we had, like I said, we had all kinds. We had some funny ones. We had all different ones on there.
Does Van Helsing count? I mean, technically
that was on there too.
Nice.
That was on there too. Yeah, we had Dracula 2000. We had all kinds. Yeah, Katie had a good selection of them on there and whittled it down to those two. Nosferatu 2024 will be our bonus episode, and then Bram Stoker's Dracula will be the main episode. So look out for that. That's gonna do it. As always, keep watching movies, especially
Stasis. It's just good. It's just kind of good.
You made a good movie. Look at that. We did a good movie on it. It's always fun when. Good job.